Hello everyone, and welcome back to Railroader. We have a long line of cars here that we need to get delivered. If you remember from the previous episode, we accepted the Ela Bridge and track repair milestone, and we also accepted a bunch of contracts for Whittier. So we are going to start breaking all these out and get them to their destinations. This is ER1, locomotive number 1, that we re-railed and had to repair. It's finally 100% repaired. However, it needs fuel, so we're going to have ER2 come by, couple up, and pull it over to where the water and coal loader are. If you control left click on the engine, ER1, you'll see that it gives you the status. And right there, right in the center at the top, it says condition is 100%. Once we get this locomotive 1 full of water and coal, we're going to attach to the cars headed for Ela and send it on its way. There we go, all coupled up. Let's go ahead and set a waypoint over here. I love the waypoint system. It's one of the best features they added to the game. Sometimes it's just better to use like the manual mode for fine-tune adjustments. So basically when we get it over here, we need to move it forward, a foot or two. Waypoint's not that great at doing that. It's more for longer distances. We're going to stop it about here. That looks perfect. Go ahead and click on the spout. It'll rotate and drop down into position. It'll fill even with the lid closed, but I like to open the lid for a little bit of realism. We can hover our mouse over the tender and see the water being filled in real time. Depending on how empty it is, this could take a minute or two to fill. I'm going to time-lapse this so we can move on. Okay, now that that's full, we'll go ahead and pull the train forward so we can fill the tender with coal. We'll switch here to manual mode and turn the brake off and release the brake and just give it enough power to get it going. And almost there, and that should do it. And then to fill it, you just click on the chute and it'll lower and then it'll start filling. We'll go ahead and get this uncoupled. And then once the coals fill, we will get it into place. Okay, the coal is finished filling up the tender. So let's get this selected and then we'll come over here and sort out what needs to go where. The colors are significant to the destination they're going. So all of these cars here with this color green are all going over to Ela. Most of these are for the Ela Bridge, but these two here are for the Ela farm supply. So let's go ahead and set our waypoint and get ER1 put into place. I'm going to switch to AE waypoint mode, and there we go. So it should send it on its way. Now that's on its way, we'll select ER2 and we'll just put that over here along this siding towards the shed just to get it out of the way so we can send ER1 on its way when it gets coupled up here. Okay. Now that that's coupled up, you'll be able to see down in the engine control interface all bunch of colored dots. The red dots keep the engine and the tender, while the purple ones are the cars with the brakes enabled, and then the white ones are all the cars without the brakes enabled. You can right click on the cars and bring up a radio menu, and there's one there for releasing the brakes. You can also click on the inspect or control click on the car, and you will be able to release the brakes that way. If you hover over the cars, you'll be able to get an indicator that the car's brakes are on. So let's we'll go ahead and get all those brakes released and then decouple the Ela cars from the Whittier cars. There are a couple ways we can go about getting this train underway. We could fly up to Ela and set the waypoint, or we could simply use the map and teleport there. So pressing M will bring up the map, and it will show you your current position. If you zoom out, you'll be able to view pretty much the whole map. You can use left mouse click on the map and pan it left, right, up, down, whatever. But what we want to look for is Ela. So if we zoom in here, you'll be able to see Whittier and East Whittier. East Whittier is where we're at, and we want to get to Ela, which is right over here. What we can do is hover our mouse right over Ela, hit Control T, and that will teleport us over to Ela. Here we are at Ela, so we can fly over here. The map will render in here shortly. It just takes a moment from teleporting. But if we fly over here, you can see there's two buildings here, a yellow one and a white one. The white one is the Ela Farm Supply. That's where those two cars are going to end up. If we bring up the company menu and go to locations, we'll be able to click on Ela Farm Supply and hover over R1. R1 will show us which track it goes to. If you click on the arrow next to R1, it will actually teleport you right above that track. Let's close that. Let's set a waypoint so we can get ER1 on its way. I know I've been using ER1, ER2. ER is just the letters of my company. They can actually be whatever you want them to be. You can change that in those preferences in the main menu. But I just left it as ER1 or ER. ER is Elder Guy Railway. So as you can see, the train is on its way. It's going to take a little bit to get going because it is considerably longer train for this engine, but once it gets up to speed, it'll be fine. All these cars, indicated by the brown and orange color, are all for Whittier, which is basically where we're at. We're in East Whittier. Whittier is just a little ways up the road, but some of these cars will go up to Whittier. Some of them will stay here, East Whittier, and go to the sawmill, while the others will go to the Stenzel Manufacturing Company and the Hollyfield Heating Oil business. If you hover over each car, you'll be able to see if there is anything in them or if they're empty. The empty ones will obviously get filled and need to be returned to the interchange, while the ones that have materials in them will get used by the business they're going to be processed in other things. Unfortunately, most of the boxcar models do not have any items, objects that actually spawn inside of them. That has not been added to the game yet. I'm sure it will be in the future, but as of right now, it's not. The flatbed cars and the hopper cars, yes, that those will show what's in them. Let's get this waypoint set and get this pushed into place. This right here is the sawmill destination that most of those cars will be going to. This track right here is for the waste product from the sawmill, so like your sawdust and your wood chips. I set the waypoint for behind those cars because the majority of what needs to be delivered needs to be pushed into place. As you can see with the sawmill, there is no way to pull it in there and then get the engine out, so we have to push it into place. Okay, so we're coming up to the cars here. We'll get it coupled up and then we'll get these pushed up so we can get them to where they need to be. And there we go. We'll set a waypoint here because the front car is the hopper car, and that's what needs to go and collect the sawdust and the wood chips. Then we'll deliver the other cars to the track for the sawmill, and then we'll head over to Whittier. Here's ER1 cruising along. It's running about 20 miles an hour. The AI is smart enough to adjust for the curves, so it's not going and flying off the curves and getting derailed, because that is possible in this game. But it is close to Ela, and it should be right around this corner if I'm not mistaken. Let's pop over to ER2, see where we're at. It's about to switch tracks here, it looks like, to get everything into place. One thing that the AI will tell you on a track like this is if the train length is too long, it will give you a warning and then the train won't move. It will not go to that destination until you remove some of the cars from it. So to shorten its length so it can do its maneuver. Okay, we're going to focus on this and then we're going to do like a kick maneuver. So once the train gets going, I will shift click the glad hands and disconnect the hoses. And then once we get enough speed, we can decouple this car. We'll stop the train and this will cruise right to its destination. And we'll be able to stop it with the handbrake right there on the back. All right, there we go. So this has also got a bit of a downgrade, so it'll keep going. It's not going to slow down on us. Almost into place. Very close. All right, that should about do it. All right, let's come back over here. We got paid for that delivery, by the way. It's not a lot of money, but you did get paid for it. So we will put this. Let's see. Let's do this track here as it's almost right here anyway. So you only have to back up a little bit to switch the track and then move over. Okay, we will go ahead and stop the train. We will put a handbrake on and then decouple. There we go. Now we'll fly over to Whittier and set a destination over there so we can get these other cars delivered to the Stenzel and Hollyfield. This is Stenzel right here. Hollyfield is right just up the track here, right here. This is where the tanker will go. So Hollyfield oil right here. So that's the track right there. And then this is, like I said before, this is Stenzel. You hover over the track, there it is. And that's where those, what, 2 or 3 cars will go there. I think it's 2 cars. We'll be able to get higher tiered contracts, and that will provide us with even more cars. So there'll be some more switching back and forth of cars to accommodate what the need is. So right there is the train station. That's for like the passenger service and stuff. So we're not doing passenger service at this moment. We just don't have enough locations open. We only have the 2, so I'm not going to bother doing passenger service at this time. But when we do, we're going to use the timetable feature, which is a great feature. I like it. But once we get Silva opened and Bryson opened, then we'll start doing the passenger service. Once we get these cars delivered, we'll have to bring ER2 back to grab the skeleton cars so we can take those up to get the logs, as you have to provide the sawmill with logs. So those cars are just right over here off to the right. You can probably see the waybills coming into view here. But we will have to come back to those to grab those and push them up to Connolly to get the logs. It usually takes a couple of hours for these cars to load, for the skeleton cars to load. They'll get 3 logs apiece. And then we'll be able to bring them back down, shove them back to where they are now, and then advance the day. We won't advance the day right away because we have to put all the Ela cars and stuff into place for the farm supply and the bridge repair. If you're unfamiliar with this game, the Connolly logging area is off to the left of this map. This is the track here to the left that takes you up there. We'll end up pushing the cars into place just because I know I've played this game before. The siding that these will go on doesn't have a pull through, so the train would be stuck. It's not that it's going to matter too much, but then you have to do some flip flopping around, and eventually you have to get to back behind them to push them into the sawmill anyway. So it just makes sense just to push them up there. We'll go ahead and stop the train just after the road, just so it's not blocking the road really. We'll put a handbrake on the Stenzel, and then we'll decouple the oil tanker so we can push that up to the Holly field. I don't know if this is a fuel station or a refinery. It looks like a fuel station to me, so we'll get it pushed up to there. We'll do the same little maneuver we did with the hopper car. We'll disconnect the hoses, decouple, stop the train, and then let this thing roll. Then we'll use the handbrake to stop it from bumping into the bumper here, the buffer. There we go. Perfectly. As you can see, the waybills go kind of a shade darker when they're in the correct position. So, okay, let's bring this back over here. We got to get this in front of the cars because the destination we have to back these cars into. There we go. All right, we'll release the handbrake. Come over here. We'll set the waypoint to get these pushed into place. Okay, we'll stop that about here. As you can see, they're in place. The waybills faded a bit. We'll go ahead and put a handbrake on because there is a grade here, downgrade. So we'll decouple and then we'll come back over here and we'll set a destination behind these skeleton cars. Well, ER2 is traveling to the skeleton cars. We'll come back over here to Ela and we'll start sorting out these cars. So we're going to put a handbrake here because there is a slight grade where the cars will start rolling backwards, so I don't want them to roll backwards. So we'll go ahead and decouple, set a waypoint behind the cars so we can get to the Ela farm supply cars and get them pushed into position. Get those coupled, get the hoses connected. Go ahead and decouple the farm supply from the Ela Bridge cars. and then get a waypoint set down over here to get it delivered. And there she goes. Looks like ER2 has gotten to its destination, coupled up to the skeleton cars. So that's a nice thing about the engine roster is you can see the status of all your engines and if they're moving or stopped or what's going on. Alright, that should do it. They don't have to go all the way back. Set the handbrake. We'll decouple here. And then come over here and set the waypoint to couple up behind these cars. We want to go behind because we got to push them into place again. This is the destination right here, so it's not too far. We're just going to push them up to about close to this buffer, I think, and then that'll be it for all the Ela cars for the moment. We'll probably leave the train connected or the engine connected to the train because we're going to eventually have to pull those back to the interchange when they're emptied. Let's get back over here to ER2. There's our cars right here. You can see there's about 8 cars that have to be pushed up to Connolly. So let's get the hoses connected here. There is a... No, I thought there was a car that had a brake on, but apparently not. So looking at the waybills, gray waybills above cars means they don't have a destination. So we have to go into the cars and set the destination. So in the unload and unload boxes, you'll see your unlocked destinations. So the unload is obviously the Whittier Logging Company, and then we're going to set a destination for Connolly Creek L2. The reason why I picked L2 is because it's got the longest space, deliverable space. So as you can see, setting it for one doesn't automatically set it for the other. So we'd have to click on the next one to set that one as well. However, there is a better way. There's action buttons at the bottom that you can copy the waybills, or the settings, I should say, of the car to the other cars. There's tooltips on all of them that tell you what they do. But essentially, if the one on the left will copy the waybills to all the other cars. This way you don't have to go and click every single car because that would be very tedious. As I was saying before, this track right here is the one that goes up to Connolly. So this is the direction or the route that this train is going to take. We're going to bring up our map and just pan up on the map and you'll see Connolly right there. So that's exactly where we want to go. So if we come into our business menu here, we click on Connolly, we can actually see the list of places you can go. L is for the logs, and P is for the pulpwood, which is for another business, like for paper products or something, I believe, in this game. We don't have that right now. That's a Silva destination, so we don't have Silva yet. So clicking on the arrow next to L2 is going to show you, or teleport you straight over there, so we can set a destination. Like I said, L2 has the longest span of track to deliver cars, where L1 is a bit shorter. It's not going to fit 8 cars. Same with L3. It's a short deliverable track, so we're going to stay with L2 so we don't have to decouple cars, put them there, and then take another set of cars to another destination. So we're going to stick with that. So let's get back over to L2. We'll get a waypoint set and get that train pushed up here. While that's getting pushed up to Connolly, we'll come back over here so we can finish the job of pushing these cars up to the bridge. So we'll come up here, we'll fly up here, we're going to set a waypoint destination. Again, because of teleportation, the map doesn't always render in right away. It can take a few seconds to render in. We'll go ahead and set a waypoint here to get those cars pushed straight up to the bridge so the bridge can get repaired. Alright, let's stop the train right here. We'll throw on a handbrake. And we'll throw on 2, I think, should be enough. Yeah, we'll do 3, just to make sure. And then we're going to leave this right here. So we'll get back over to ER2, get that finished up over there. There's really not much to do. We're just going to send this up there, and then we're just going to leave it sit until the locks fill up, because there's nothing else to do for this day. And that's probably where we will leave the video. So I will let this go. I'm probably going to time lapse this because I am getting a little bit long on this. So, but I'll try to make sure I keep the videos a little bit shorter so I stay within that 20 to 30 minute time frame.